Welcome to Live Free. I'm Angela K. Austin. Together, we'll discuss books, we'll explore the world, and we'll do it with some of my closest friends. And hopefully, we'll make new ones along the way.
Hey everybody, this is Angela K. Austin, and today I am here with Sarah, who is a friend of mine that I recently met through an organization called Hacker Paradise. And what I want to do today is talk with Sarah and tell you guys all about Hacker Paradise and how women out there, men out there, people out there can travel and not be alone. Sarah, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
And I still pronounce it wrong. Sarah. Say hi to everybody.
Sarah.
So for you guys out there who follow my channels, you guys know that I love to travel. And recently I did a big life shift. And one of my major sources of just, joy in life is being able to travel and meet cool, awesome people. When I decided to do this, I looked up a lot of different organizations to see what would be a cool organization for me to do this with. And I stumbled upon Hacker Paradise. And I met Sarah. And let me just tell you, when I decided to do this, I think I asked Sarah like 18 million questions. Like, okay, are there Black people? How old are they? Where do they go? Are these countries safe for me? I'm going to be by myself. I won't know anybody. Blah, 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 blah. So what I want to do is ask all those questions again with Sarah and let her explain to you how Hacker Paradise works, who she is, and how all of us can travel by ourselves without being alone. We can be a part of a community. So Sarah, let's start off by telling everybody who you are and who or what Hacker Paradise is.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sarah. And if you can guess my accent, you can hear it. I'm Italian. I was born and I grew up here in the northeast of Italy in a city called Vicenza, which is where I am right now, which is pretty weird for me because I'm used to always be somewhere else. I actually haven't lived here for the past 7 years almost, even longer if we count when I was at university in another city. And but yeah, now I'm here because thank you, COVID. So I'm living with my mom. And what I do is that I'm head of operations for Hacker Paradise. And so basically what I do is that I make sure that everything runs smoothly internally in the company and externally for our members. And what we are is that we are a community of remote workers, and that can be anyone who just need a laptop to get their work done. So there are people like Angela who write. There are coders, there are graphic designers, translators, even lawyers. Anything that you can just do with your laptop and you can do from where you want. So all these people are welcome to join the community. And what we do is that we travel together because we can work from home, but it's funnier if we can do it from a beach in Brazil. So Hacker Paradise facilitates this life by taking care of the logistics. So we found you an apartment. We always partner up with a co-working space. We give you a SIM card with data, like we make your travel easy. And then, as Angela said, we make your life less lonely. You're not going to be alone. You know that from the moment you arrive at the airport, there are going to be like 20, 30 people waiting for you. And these people are going to become your friends, your next travel buddies. And there are going to be people with different backgrounds, different stories, different nationalities. And we just share this experience together. And Hacker Paradise facilitates all of this.
Yeah, and even before you leave, you start to get introduced to people, which was super cool for me because when I got to the airport in Sao Paulo, one of the other people who was coming into Brazil with me, I didn't recognize her, but she recognized me and she walked up and she's like, "Hey, are you Angela?" I was like, "Yes, and who are you?" But it was like so cool because then that part of my trip I didn't have to do by myself. So, we flew on into Floripa, we, took a taxi together. And so immediately you started to kind of build those relationships, almost like right out of the gate. So this is like one of the questions, like when, so that people can understand. So like you said so much there, like from the sim car to the community, tell, like, you know, and the community really was made of so many people. I met so many people and I was just like, yeah, this is the life that I'm about. How do we, you know, this is it right here. Like, this is why people fall in love with like the whole nomad, digital nomad thing.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about like the community a little. Oh no, let's talk about the locations, and then we'll get into the community a little bit. So I met Sarah in on my trip to Brazil. So let's talk a little bit about the different places, and you know, and now in this time of COVID-19, you know, so much stuff has gotten squashed. My stuff too, but let's talk a little bit about like maybe what's happening the end of this year or top of next year, some of the places that Hacker Paradise has, you know, scheduled, even some of the places that you guys have done in the past.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, when we like choosing a location is one of my favorite things to do. And there are of course some parameters that we take into consideration, like safety is always number one priority together with Wi-Fi speed. Then of course we look into the season. Is it the right season? Is it friendly? Like our tourists welcome, like again, it's part of a safety piece. And then what we do is that every year we go back to places that we know we love. So like for example, this year in Floripa, it was already our third year there, and it was always a very successful trip. We go always back to Colombia, we always go back to South Africa, and then we always also add places where we've never been before, because usually people join for several trips. Usually everyone comes back. So especially from the alumni community, we have a request to go to less explored places. So like, for example, last year we went to Morocco. It was our first time there. So we always make a mix of locations. Now, yeah, COVID, of course, like paused our operations for now, but we hope to go back to Bali at the end of October because things looks pretty safe there, and we have a lot of like local partners and we have properties we know. And then next year we're gonna go back to Colombia, Florianopolis, because I think there are many people from our group who want to go back there and get the real experience.
Yeah.
Um,
We were all
then
talking
we,
about that. We were like, we all have to get back. And you know what's so funny too though is that you know, when we were all there in Florida, we were like, do we really have to leave? Like what's happening? And so many of us left, but then some people stayed, and it's just, you know, looking at the other trips and where we could go. And I'm like, yeah, there's like so many, like I need to sell more books is what I've decided, because I need to take more trips, because you really do. I mean, you guys, and I'm going to link the video in here. And I was just talking with Sarah about it, because this is Sarah. She talked me into climbing a mountain, people. But it's like I trusted her. Look at that smile. Who would not trust her? But you know, I love the activity, and there were always, you know, so I mean, all the people are so dynamically different that there was always somebody you could find who was like interested in what you're interested in. So if you just wanted to chill out somewhere, like I found a group of people who were just like what I call like the mellow crowd. You know, we would go, like we literally found a burger and a jazz joint in Floripa, you know, and so we're like listening to, you know, like Brazilians sing like bluesy, soulful jazz and eating burgers. And it was like, how do you find that? But the people were so different, you know, but I felt like the people were all so open to meeting each other. So like how, you know, so these locations are awesome, and I'm definitely going to make sure we put some links in the bottom, because I know I have my eye on Africa myself. How do you how do you how do you think that you guys have managed to cultivate such a dynamic group of people? Because I know when I was choosing, trying to figure, you know, determine which organization I wanted to, because this was this was the first trip I had ever done with an organization like this. How do you think that you guys have been able to create such a dynamic culture? Because everybody was, you know, so mellow and so cool.
yeah.
Everybody was so chill. So how do you think you managed to create such a family like that?
Yeah, I think it all starts before the trip. So as you mentioned, like we chat with everyone before they join a trip. So we have these 20, 30 minutes conversation with everyone. And it's of course a way for people who are interested to ask us all the questions, but it's also a way for us to understand what these people want to get out of the experience. And sometimes it's pretty easy to spot an asshole. So that's why sometimes it's rare, but it happens that we kind of like reject some people. For us, it's very important that people don't come with prejudice and like, is it correct how we say that? I always make.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like open, like the mindset, like being open-minded and welcoming to everyone is something very important that we always try to spot when we speak with people before the trip starts. So and like we look for people who are respectful for for everyone that you're gonna meet. So that starts before the trip starts. And then, as you know, 1 month before the trip starts, we actually already add these people, like the participants, to Slack. And Slack, for those who don't know about it, it's a communication tool where you can create different channels. And we start cultivating the community already there. We start creating channels, and especially we want to empower people to feel like that is a safe space for everyone to share what they want to get out of the experience, to share about their passions, and to start already to know the other people who they're going to share the experience with. And then the most important piece is when the trip starts, we always have two facilitators, one in charge of the logistics, problem solver, and the other person in charge of the community activities. But then the role of both of them is to facilitate people's life. Of course, like the AC is broken, we're gonna fix it, but it's a lot of work of like connecting people. So facilitators are very good to at reading the room and understand who could be friends with who. Like we like also making the housing assignment, that's also a science. But it's not a rocket science,
I was in the
but like
perfect
it's
place. Yeah, I loved my housing. I was like, because because like even towards the end when we were like doing some shuffling around, I was like, oh no, over here I can be lazy. I can get up. I can have breakfast. I can send my
Paulo.
clothes out. Yeah,
I
Paula.
know you.
Shout out to Paula. I can get my clothes laundered. I'm like, come on now. I loved my spot. Yeah, and everything
Yeah,
was
but
so close to the co-work space, so you could work and stuff. Um, so for those people who do have those digital nomad lives, or those people who have jobs that require them to be linked in, we talked a little bit about Wi-Fi. Can you talk a little bit about that co-work space too? Because that was
yeah.
one thing that the facilitators did as well. And then of course, as people got used to stuff and they got more um, I guess more open to exploring the community, they found some of their own places. But talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, so in every location where we go, we always partner up with a co-working space. For us, it's very important. Again, everyone who joins the community has a remote job, or we have people in transition or like on a sabbatical, but still people who are working on a solid personal project. So it's very important to have a professional place, because some people, I also like to work from my bed from time to time, but I wouldn't work from home every day. So it's important for us to have a professional place with super strong Wi-Fi. And it's also very important for us because it's our main contact with the local community. And these people are the one giving us the best advice. They're the one also planning networking events for us. So it's really like the meeting point with locals to discover more about the place where we are and get work done, of course. Then the one in Florida is super, super nice. I really, really like that co-working space. But honestly, like I also used to run a co-working space in Belgium before joining Hacker Paradise. And I visited, I don't know, I guess over 50 co-working spaces all around the world. And there are amazing communities out there. So it's like an added community to the Hacker Paradise community. So it's really an added value
It
always.
really was. They did all kinds of cool things because they had music and they had,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really cool space. I hate that I didn't get any video of it to share with people because I really thought that was a cool spot,
It
and
is.
and that made me think about the skill sharing, because we were talking, even about that, and so all the people there, the facilitators, help coordinate, the skill share. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I actually thought that was good. Like, I had never used Slack before, to be honest. And I was sitting there, and some of the people that I met, I was like, because, I used to work for a hospital, and prior to that, they were not, the companies that I worked for were not technology forward companies. You were not working remotely. So it's just like you never had to do stuff like that. And if we did,
Yeah.
Zoom or something like that. So Slack, when you guys, I was like, what is this? But so talk a little bit about Skillshare and how that works. Because I actually thought that was really cool to learn from people.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of my favorite part of the program. Like, I mean, I cannot think of something I don't like about the program, but yeah, Skillshare, it's again, because we are a group with very, very different backgrounds. Again, we have people in technology, we have more creative people. So the goal is that we dedicate 2 hours per week to learn something from someone else or to share a skill that we have that we want to share with the group. So usually we do on Wednesday a 1 hour hands-on workshop. And in the past, we had creative writing workshops, but we also had music, like composition workshops, acting classes. It's really, really, really diverse because it doesn't need to be something necessarily business related. It can be a passion that we have and we want to share with the group. Like we had Marcus, he's a Canadian web developer during the day, and then he's also a musician, and he actually recorded his album while traveling with Hacker Paradise. So he showed us how he did that. And then, so it's really like the most unexpected things. I always give an Italian hand gesture talk because that's what I like to share. And so we do these workshops, or we have usually on Thursdays something that we call talks, and it's a 20 minutes presentation followed by Q&A, again, about anything. And honestly, I've learned so many things in the past 2 years and a half traveling with Hacker Paradise. It is something very, very interesting, very enriching. And it's one of the reasons why I really like being part of a community, because it's not just meeting people and going out for beers, but you get much more out of the experience. You actually learn and you share with other people. And then it's also a way for people to find new clients. Like when you show something that you're good at and people recognize that, then it's a lot of word to mouth, and like it's also marketing.
And because all of the people who are kind of doing this, they're people who like to be kind of like unhindered. They don't want to be like tethered to like a, one whatever. So it's a cool way to meet other people who enjoy doing what you enjoy doing. And so like, even like with Slack, although I'm very bad with it, I don't have notifications on for anything. So even after you leave Hacker Paradise, that doesn't mean that once you leave the trip, doesn't mean you leave the community, guys. And so
exactly,
you can stay connected, right? And I love that. If I did better with it, I'm sure, it would be, but you can stay connected. And so people are always posting about opportunities, people, I know people who from the group that I was a part of, who are still taking trips together, as just friends. So you meet this whole group of people who I think are super, super just like open to exploring the world and exploring the world with other people. And quite frankly, Sarah, when we look at all the things that are going on in the world around us right now, people like meeting people who are open and who are kind, people who are just like, hey, let's go check out the world. I love that, because it's just right now, I feel like we need so much more of that. But it's just so crazy, because I was so afraid to do this, guys. I just want to let y'all know, because I was like, man, I want to do something. I want to explore. Nobody wants to take trip. Like I couldn't find friends who wanted to take they couldn't take these extended trips that I was trying to take. And, and some of them didn't want to, because, they just didn't want to go to some of the places I wanted to go to. And so it's like to be able to find Hacker Paradise and to be able to find, these opportunities to take these trips was so awesome for me, because I was like, you can really truthfully, travel by yourself without being alone. That was like so key for me.
Yeah, it's true. Like I used to, I mean, when I grew up in Italy, I was always kind of thinking there must be more than just getting a master and then go to work. Like there is this feeling of like, oh no, I need to go to wait for my retirement to do this. And I was never really accepting this, but people were looking at me like, do you think you can change the world? Like, what are you even thinking of? And then I started traveling with Hacker Paradise, and I was like, oh my God, I've met my peeps. Like, there are other people who share my views. And it's also very interesting when you meet people that have different views, but you really learn how to communicate and embrace differences and like just be good with that. That is something like I didn't experience when I was growing up here in Italy, where we can be pretty close-minded. So,
well, I'm in the southern parts of the state.
yeah,
So I mean, so I love it. It's like and I was like very apprehensive, and it's so funny because I was one of the oldest people in my group, and I remember talking to some of the other women, and they were like, "Oh, you're probably not that much older than me." I was like, "Yeah," but it was like they were like, "No, Angela, we're in our 40s." I was like, your baby 40s, catch me when you catch a couple more years. But it was just so cool that all these people were willing to just like, oh no, and I loved that. It was very, very open. And I'll even say, like, when I was climbing that mountain, like with Sarah, when I was climbing that mountain, like I was like, where is Sarah? She's where is she? Like the first person off the mountain, but I was the last person. But let me tell you guys, there were 3 people, 2 guys and 1 other woman. So I was like so slow. I swear, like every 5 minutes I was like, I had to catch my breath. I was like, I'm gonna die on a mountain in Brazil. But it was like but these guys, they were like walking really slowly and hanging out with me. I was like, I can see you guys. You guys are like 12 feet tall. You'll have to wait for me. I'll catch up. They were like, no, we're okay. I was like, but it made me feel so bad that I was like slowing them down, but they were hanging out with me. But it was so cool too to know that people that I had only just met weeks before were willing to like, just hang around and watch over and make sure that I was, okay on that mountain. And it was literally like one of the best things I've ever done. So you were right.
That beach was incredible.
Gorgeous. Although I didn't take that second hike with you, she went on another hike in flip-flops up another mountain. Up another mountain. Oh my God. You are
That was also beautiful.
You were so amazing. I was cracking myself up. I couldn't believe it.
You were talking about age, and it's a question that always, like, it's a question that everyone asked me, like, oh, what's the average age? And like, it's like late 20s, mid 30s. I think the average is like 32, 33 years old. But really, age doesn't really matter. Of course, we have much younger people and much older people. Like, I've traveled to Japan with Thomas. He was just 19 years old, and he actually joined his first Hacker Paradise trip just right after high school. He decided he was not gonna go to college, and and every year he comes back, and for him it's like kind of a social part of college that he didn't experience, but with more mature people. And he's actually working, like he has a very solid job, and he's very, very, very happy. And then on the other side, on my first Hacker Paradise trip ever back in January 2018, I've met Fawn, and she is, oh my God, I actually don't know how old she, I think she's 60. Fawn, if you listen to this, don't take it back. I think you're 60. And we are still in touch. We've met in Taipei, and also with Lori. She's also an amazing, amazing woman, and we celebrated her 59th birthday in Thailand last year. So like, and she did like 13 Hacker Paradise trips in the past 5 years. So like, age doesn't matter. It's really about what you want to get out of it, and like age, whatever. Like,
I think so, because that's what I had to do. So like, because I am, older, and it's like when you first get there, you're like, all these young 20-year-olds, it's like, and you feel like you don't, because like I was a 20-year-old in college, are they just going to be like about partying, or they're going to be whatever? And you really do. You find that people who like to party, they go find a club. You don't have to go find the club. They go find the club. you know, and so you can break up into groups to do things that you enjoy together. You know, so
Exactly.
people would work
Exactly.
out together, people would hike together, people would do whatever. And so, you know, for people who are considering something like this, I would definitely say you have to check out Hacker Paradise, because I know for me, a woman in her 40s, I enjoyed every moment of it. It was awesome. So let's give people some specifics about Hacker Paradise. You said Bali, which, you
Bali.
know, I was like, Bali. You mentioned Bali. So, and of course, we'll put links to Hacker Paradise in the description and whatnot. But tell us, so what are the next couple of trips you guys have coming up? And then if somebody is interested, how do they get started? Where do they first go to find out more about the trips? And what do they need to do? What are the steps they need to take?
Yeah. So right now we are on pause with the trips, and we're gonna start them. Like we have a lineup of trips, and we're gonna actually run them if it's gonna be safe to do so. Like safety is always gonna be our number one priority, and feeling comfortable with travel, it's mandatory. So what we are planning actually now is Lisbon again, mostly for European people, because for us we can travel around Europe, like it's safe to do so, and we are allowed to do so. So we are looking at Lisbon for October. And end of October, we are looking at Bali. And this is because it's a location that we know very, very well. We actually have 2 people from our team there. They lived there through the pandemic, and like we know that it's gonna be good to do. Like we can go there. Travel is confirmed to open up again for Bali, for Indonesia on September 11th. So we're gonna wait a month, and then we're gonna head there at the end of October if everything goes fine. We're gonna be there for a couple of months. Like we know that now people are gonna tend to stay a little bit longer in places. Like it's not fun, maybe much responsible to move every other week. So we're looking at staying a little bit longer in places, and then hopefully 2021 is gonna be more normal, or whatever the new normal is gonna be. But yeah, for everyone who wants to join, Angela is gonna put the link, and then it's simple. You just pick a time slot. You're gonna end up chatting with me most likely or someone else from the team, and that's the moment where I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions, but mostly it's gonna be you asking all the questions that you have, and then we make it happen.
Awesome. And so that's what I wanted to ask, how long the trips are. So right now, like the Bali trip, how long is that trip?
It's gonna be 2 months, and we're gonna do. The plan is to do 1 month in Ubud, which is the jungle hippie place, and then 1 month on the beach.
See?
So for some surfing.
Oh my God, I would love to go to Bali. I would love to go to Bali. Oh my God. You know, if that's the thing, guys. Like a person like me, I'm such a dreamer. Like, you know, if my bank account matched my thoughts in my head, I'd be living some fabulous friggin' life somewhere. I'd be like, like, where's Angela? Bali. Where did you go there?
Bali.
Greece, whatever. It would be crazy. But one of the things that I do love is that because Hacker Paradise kind of moves together, you know, and right now you were doing those longer stays, but you know, I was doing like 30 days in each country, you know, and
Yeah,
so like being able to travel with people, because you know, you go over here, you meet people, you make friends, and then you travel with those people to the next place. So it's not like you have to start over each time, you know, people, and it's like, and you can see the
exactly.
friendships that had
Exactly.
developed, you know. And it's so weird how the friendships form, to be honest with you, because it's like you already know you have something in common with the people,
Yeah,
because you love travel, you love exploring, you love whatever. And so you already have some sort of a foundation, and it just builds, because I still chat with several of the people that I met when I was in Brazil. And it's just, you know, it's really cool how those friendships form. The um so the next trip will be Bali. Then we're looking at Lisbon. You know, I wonder if these yeah, see. I can't even look at the website. See, Saturday, I'll be like, yeah, I gotta stay on task because I gotta pay for these educational bills. But but this has been so cool. Thank you so much for sharing this with me, Sarah. And is there anything else that you would like to share with people who are looking at this? Because, you know, like I said to you before, I've had some people who've reached out to me because of the channel, because of the podcast, because they're like, this makes them want to discover and want to travel. Is there anything that you would want to share with people about Hacker Paradise, or, you know, because I mean, I do want to reiterate to so many people that for me, traveling with Hacker Paradise made me feel safe. I felt welcomed. You know, I felt like I was easily able to connect and make friends with people as long as I got out of my own way. Because at first I was like, I can't, who are these people? Why am I here? You know, but then like quickly, you know, with, you know, because it's like, I think people see that and they try to pull you out of your hesitation so that you are open to making friends and getting involved. And, you know, the facilitators, I say kudos, you know, to them for really trying to get people to really engage. But is there anything you would like to share with people? Because I'll definitely link and I'll put all the stuff there. But, you know, anything that you would like to say to people to encourage them to maybe even just prepare for 2021 if they're, you know, if there's nothing happening this year?
Yeah. My suggestion is always to try it out. It's easier than you think. Like, it's easy to get into overthinking and imagining the worst case scenarios, but the reality is that the experience is going to be like what you want to get out of it, and there are people there to support the best outcome possible. And I know that like many people are worried about being overwhelmed, too many people. We actually have a lot of introverts who travel with us, and they're always like, oh my god, this is going to be too much or not. Nothing is mandatory, so you really set your own schedule, and you know that if you want to go clubbing, someone is going to want to go clubbing. If you want just to chill and read a book, there's going to be a book club. We had the drawing group. And then again, it's really an investment into your travel and professional life, because the community is much bigger than the trip itself that you're going to join. Like we mentioned, we have a community Slack, and also like people are meeting up all the time. Even if they didn't meet on that specific trip, but we still connect people even after the trip ended. And there are people meeting up in the US, there are people who start traveling together. So it's really an investment in your future travels and professional life. So I couldn't recommend it more. Of course, I work, like I've been working with Hacker Paradise for almost 3 years now, but it's really, also for me, I thought it was going to be 1 year of my life. This is already the third one. So
well, like I definitely recommend, because, you know, like I also teach, and I'll teach, one of the classes I teach is international marketing. And I was like, well, you know, the more I travel, the better I will be as a professor of international marketing. You know, so you never, you know, sometimes, you know, maybe people don't see how different things connect, you know, for them. But for me, this was like just a huge, tremendous experience for me that connected with so many other things that I'm doing in my life. So it was an amazing experience, Sarah. Thank you so much.
We're going to meet again.
All my questions. Because I was like, this woman is going to get tired of me asking her questions. She's going to be like, no, you can't come. You know?
Don't worry. It will never happen. We're always there to answer questions. And especially if you do it in a polite way, and people who are not polite, they're not going to be accepted into the community. So
she's so true about that. I tell you guys, I asked so many questions, and I was like, she's going to be like, no, you can't come. Goodbye. No. But she did not. She patiently answered all of my questions. So
no, and we're gonna meet again. Hopefully, maybe in Kenya or South Africa next year.
I want South Africa. I'm gonna South Africa. That's, you know,
it's my home, far away from home. South Africa is really the place where I'm always excited to go back.
You guys have convinced me. I'm gonna be there. It's just like I've always wanted to go. I've never been to Africa, and so I'm like, I gotta, you know. And I tried to go to Kenya 2 years ago, I think it was, and a lot of things happened, and it ended up canceling. And then I tried to go before that a few years back to Egypt, and so every time I've tried to go, something's happened.
Something happened. Now a pandemic.
But
there are many. Yeah, there are many hikes in South Africa.
Well,
I'm just gonna just the easy ones.
You said that one was easy, Sarah, and it was an intermediate. Oh my God, why did I ever believe you? Oh my God, I don't even know. But this has been so much fun. So guys, if you are listening to our voices, this is Sarah of Hacker Paradise, and I'm Angela K. Austin. And if you've ever wanted to take a trip, and you don't have anybody to go with you, or even if you do have somebody to go with you, all of you can join up with Hacker Paradise and y'all can go together. It was an amazing experience, something that I will never forget. And I'm already trying to sign up for Africa next year. So maybe I'll see you there.
Yes.
Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Angela, for having me.
I'm going to stop calling you Sarah if it's the last thing I do. Sarah, I'm going to get it right.
And I'm calling you Angela with a very Italian accent.
That's okay. You know I love Italy. I need to learn some Italian and figure out my life. But thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Grazie.